And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. It's potluck time. This is the part of the show where we go around the table and share our favorite stories of the day. Rick Unger, Beauty Before Age.
So this, thank you. This dovetails nicely with the last segment that we did. I have gotten very interested, along with all this anti-Christian talk about the president. We've seen a revival of this conversation about why will he never use the term radical Islam or extremist Islam or violent Islam. So I got curious to see, is there something to this? Is he different than other presidents? And I went looking and I discovered a few fascinating things. Going back to President Reagan, which is really, in my memory at least, the first I recall of experiencing this when our Marines in Lebanon were blown up in their barracks. I went to see if other presidents have been willing to say words like this. You know what I discovered? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. They were exactly the same as Barack Obama. Interestingly, it turns out it is actual policy. And who explained that? Elliot Abrams, who worked for Bush in national security. He was the deputy of national security. He explained that, and I'll actually read it to you. Here, he said, a longstanding U.S. policy. Why? Because we were invading two Muslim countries and we were being accused of being at war with Islam. So the administration wanted to make it very clear that we were not at war with Islam and every Muslim in the world. Translation, we don't want to tick off Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia follows the Wahhabi sect of Islam, as did Al-Qaeda. But they obviously didn't agree. So this is built-in policy. As a matter of fact, President Bush never used the words.
Which one?
The second.
Okay.
The second.
43.
Never said anything like that until he got to the last 2 months of his term. And in one speech, he used similar words to extremist Islam. Didn't do it until he was almost out of office. So my question to everybody, why do they make this so personal with President Obama when he won't use those words? But I don't recall anybody even writing about it when President Bush didn't use those words. I don't recall anybody even thinking about it when President Reagan was careful not to use those words, or any president since.
Did President Bush stand up on Easter Sunday and make the sort of speech that Obama made?
Well, no, I don't think he did. But but wait. You can't switch the topic just because of that. We're talking about his failure to use the words radical Islam, not whether he's a Christian or not. That's what I'm talking about here. And it turns out he doesn't use them, but neither did any of the other presidents.
Well, none of the other presidents may not have done that, but do you not think that the war on terrorism hasn't escalated significantly
Sure
since
it has,
then?
but it also has, he didn't escalate during President Bush's term?
Not really.
No,
Seriously?
quite so
No,
much.
9/11,
No.
and then it was
We
very
had
quiet for a
9/11.
long time.
Yeah, but anybody ever hear of Al-Qaeda? Did we only hear about this when
We
Barack
did, but
Obama
they-
became
they-
president?
No,
I think that's part of the problem
Yeah.
is that the Republicans in Congress have attacked everything that
Everything.
Obama has done.
And
if
not
he
just in
said,
Congress.
an apple a day keeps a doctor away, they'd say, oh, you're advocating socialized
Right.
medicine again. So I think that it's better to have a more nuanced approach. For example, with this whole Iran nuke thing. If they agree with them from time to time, then when they say they didn't like the Iran deal, I'd say, well, maybe they have a point.
Much more
But now
credibility.
I know that they're going to say that they don't like the deal no matter what.
I think President Bush would have liked for the Democrats to have been gentler on him.
Oh, I agree with that. I
come on.
completely agree. And by the way, I never criticized him for most, but see, it falls under the same category. I didn't like it when people would say that President Bush was evil, that he was trying to avenge the attack on his father, all that.
But they did say it, and the media did
I
not
didn't
make
like
a big
it.
issue of it.
But, well, no, yeah, they did. They did. But they should have, because it was wrong. But this is just as wrong.
You know what else is wrong?
We
are
gotta
biting
move on.
into Jane's time.
Jane, please,
Yeah.
take
It's
it
our
away,
first time
Jane.
guest.
I do feel that the government is generally very unresponsive and that there are these vast bureaucracies that just march on and that no matter what we do, we can never get the government's attention. So I was happy to notice that 121,000 people signed a petition against conversion therapy, and the White House then came out and denounced it. So there was actually a cause and effect, and it was all because
Not the petition,
this
conversion therapy.
Yeah, well,
They denounced, yeah.
yeah, they denounced the conversion therapy, not the petition. And it's all because this young woman, who I guess was originally a young man, was forced into conversion therapy by her parents, and she then committed suicide by throwing herself in front of a semi-truck. And so this is what started the movement, and it's a tragedy what happened to her. I don't believe in conversion therapy, but the thing that's the best thing about it is that you can actually get somewhere by signing a petition, which I do about 3 times a day.
Could you do me a favor? Just define quickly for the folks at home what conversion therapy
Well,
is.
essentially, it's when usually a parent takes their child to a so-called therapist because the child has said they're gay or their sexual orientation is not what the parent wants. And then a so-called therapist says to them, you're not gay, you're not homosexual, we can stomp this out. And often it's very, very traumatic for the person who is gay or is in that situation that they can't control.
Okay. Well, a petition does work in this situation. The president did say that he will be announcing it as well. So, good stuff, Jane, for your first time in. Well done. Anyway, when we come back, we have even more potluck dinner for you, including my own. This is the Daily Wrap, and it's only on Newsmax TV. And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. I'm your host, Joe Conchin. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of our potluck, where we're sharing our favorite stories of the day. KC, you are number 3.
Joe, you remember Bridgegate? Okay, that was the
forget?
scandal that was swirling around Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey and the potential Republican presidential candidate. You may recall that the Christie administration was accused of closing lanes on the George Washington Bridge and causing a traffic nightmare that ran all the way back to the town of Fort Lee. And this was all allegedly because the mayor of Fort Lee, who's a Democrat, refused to endorse Chris Christie's re-election campaign for governor in 2013. Well, federal regulators have been looking into it all, and according to the New York Times, there could be an indictment coming as early as next week. Now, the Times says that the subpoenas have made it clear that the investigations have expanded beyond the lane closings to include possible conflicts of interest and bribery. So nobody's predicting that Christie is going to be indicted, but some of his aides may be in trouble, including an old political ally of his by the name of David Sampson, who was Christie's man in charge of the Port Authority. So if Sampson were to be indicted, and this is all speculation, it would certainly make it tougher for Christie to shake off the scandal and focus on his presidential race. And it would reinforce what critics have long complained about, that whether or not he actually planned the lane closings, it's something that his staff knew he would like.
And it's just so stupid. When you look back on it, I mean, you knew he was going to win that election. It was just a matter of by how much. He wanted to get over 60 because that would be impressive in a blue state. But you got this thing won by 30 points, and it's just so Sopranos. Now, even if he isn't involved with this, the damage is done. He can't win the presidency. He can't even get off the ground, I don't think.
Well, I'm not sure that you can write him off just yet. The problem with an investigation is like this is it starts off looking at the lane closures, but then it kind of spreads out.
What's interesting,
and who knows where else it's gone.
If it lands at David Sampson, as you're suggesting, and I can certainly understand how that would happen, this opens up a fascinating can of worms, because this is a man who is seriously influential throughout the state of New Jersey, huge power broker, very wealthy attorney. A lot of things can come with that.
Yeah, and if he flips, that's the thing. I mean, Christie's had a lot of loyal supporters and lieutenants, and they've stood by him, and they haven't spilled their guts. But if they start looking at a jail cell or a prison term, they might say, okay, I'm going to talk, I'm going to say everything I know. And then Chris Christie could be in really serious.
How long do we have to wait?
Ray?
For what?
Do I think he runs?
Until these indictments might
Well,
come
according
out.
to the New York Times, the indictments are going to be coming out next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
I think he'll wait to see what happens with that.
I think I know what our topics are going to be next week.
Probably. I was just asking Jane, do you think that he runs?
Do you think
Regardless
he's
of what
gonna
happens. Let's say nothing happens.
Yes,
Well, then,
he runs.
yes.
He runs.
Yes.
And
And
you
if nothing happens, if he comes away unscathed from this, I think he's in a good position.
You think so? Because I don't think
think so.
conservatives trust him. They see him as another Romney.
Yeah, but he can win primaries. I agree with Ken.
I definitely
does
think
run.
he's going to run because there was an issue in New Jersey called the pig gestation crates, where the vast majority of voters want to get rid of these horrific, cruel crates, and he he vetoed it, even though most of the people, the vast majority in his state, wanted to see a more humane system of factory farming, and it was all because of Iowa. He was trying to please the power brokers in Iowa, which to me telegraphed absolutely that he is already thinking about
And
running.
as a New Jersey resident, I found that very disappointing.
Yeah.
That really I'm not an emotional guy. That
I
got
like
to me a
you,
little bit. Well,
and
thank
now
you.
I know that you're a compassionate man.
Thank you, Janie. Anyway, you want to see compassion because it's about to go away. So today, or not today, but at least this month, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the release of Goodfellas. Yes, you're that old. Can we play a clip from one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, I'll bring your knife back if they do that.
Anyway,
Delicious. Delicious.
thank you. Why don't you get yourself a nice girl?
I
Get
get a
your-
nice one almost every night, Ma.
Yeah, but get yourself a girl so you could settle down.
There was a little bit more of that, but I mean, Pesci's great in that, and De Niro, and obviously Henry Hill. And
Don't forget my friend Paul Sorvino.
Paul Sorvino, Bo Dietl's in that movie for about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go on and on. You're friends with Paul Sorvino? Right?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that. Played the perfect mafia boy.
I introduced him to his wife,
Really?
Dee Dee.
A
Yes.
story for another time. But anyway, so that's 25 years ago. And I still can't get over the fact that this movie, a classic, was beaten out for Best Picture by Dances with Wolves. And I love Costner. That was just 3 hours of it. And then the wolf gets shot. I talk about animal cruelty. That was depressing enough. And it was a fine movie. But what are you talking about today? What's the movie that you stop every time you see it on cable? It's Goodfellas.
And
Dances with Wolves. I broke into remotes trying to change the channel fast enough. All right, so and then here's what's interesting. I looked it up during the break. 'Cause I'm like, boy, I bet you Goodfellas really outperformed Dances with Wolves as far as like DVDs and all that other stuff. Dances with Wolves has made $184 million total gross. All right, when you can include everything. Goodfellas only $46 million.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That is shocking.
I did not see that coming.
No.
So maybe I'm wrong.
What happened?
but-
The mob stole the money?
The mob stole the money.
No,
Great,
you're not
great
wrong.
out from that. Thank
You're not
you.
wrong. You're right.
Anyway, that's potluck tonight, and when we come back, it's Yay or Nay. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax.